Good afternoon, students. So today we are having that is open elective introduction for 7th semester. So there are 4 electives for this particular semester. So each faculty who are going to handle that subject will give the introduction about the open elective. So now I'll request Professor G.S. Gugri madam to start with project management. And if you have any questions regarding the syllabus or the content of the subject, you can ask at the end of the subject introduction. Okay, thank you. Now I'll hand over it to Gugri madam.
Good afternoon, students. Am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, myself, Gitanjali Gugri from Department of Mechanical. So, here I am going to take the project management for the open elective. So, the course code of this is 18ME 761 and the open elective credits are 3. So, maximum total hours what we are going to teach is 40 hours. So the project management subject is important across all the engineering fields, irrespective of your field where you are working. So some of the examples what I can give as a project is, now we are going through the process of digitization of India. So we are in the process of replacing all our conventional vehicles by electrical vehicles. So we are replacing the conventional trains with the bullet trains and the vacuum trains. All these are some of the examples of the project management. So for the project, we need the resources like machines, materials, and the time is also very, very important for the project completion. Project starts with a definite objective, with a definite mission. Then the process of project goes on and it comes to an end. So this is what is the project. So here the same syllabus has been framed, keeping the projects which are going on or which are completed in the this thing. Make in India is also one of the project for this. So the whole syllabus is divided into 5 units. So in the first unit, we are going to learn about what is project. So what are the different types of the projects, right from the characteristics of a project, categories of a project, how the project life cycle goes on, and what is the roles and responsibilities of the project manager who is in charge of particular project and all. So the planning of the projects and all we are going to study in the very first unit, that is concept of project management. So in the second unit, the cost estimation and the planning of the project plays an important role. So for that, we will be studying the planning and the cost estimation. What are the different methods of estimating the budget of the project? So, and whether our projects are feasible or no. So, suppose if I'm going to give you the example of a driverless car. So, is this project is feasible in India? So, like this, we need to study the feasibility study of each and every project, which is when we are defining the project. Feasibility with respect to the raw material, feasibility with respect to the technology, feasibility with respect to the cost. So all that feasibility studies we are going to study in this second unit. So when we come for the third unit, organizing and the staffing of the project. So here we need to organize. Project is nothing but complex set of activities which we are going to which we are going to do it. So we need to organize. We should have a particular set of organization for this completion of this project, like you might have studied in M&D. So line and staff organization. Here we are studying the different set of organizations like a matrix organization, task force organization. When the project scope starts from mini projects to the mega projects, what kind of a organization I need to follow for completing particular set of activities. So normally, if you are taking example of any of the projects, around 60% of the work will be done through the contracting. 60% of the work will be done in any of the projects. It will be done through the contracting, and other 20% will be done by the project leading team and all. So that is what we are going to learn here. What do you mean by contracting? What are the three R's of a contracting, like a risk, responsibility, and a reimbursement? What is tendering? Selection of a tenders, how you are going to call the tenders and all. Team building for the projects. So all this we are going to study in the third unit. So when we are coming to the fourth unit, time is very, very important. I gave you the resources, men, machines, materials, and the money and the time. Time is also one of the important resource. We need to complete our projects in time before anyone captures the market, other brands capture the market. For that, we are going to learn the scheduling of the project, how we can do parallelly the different activities, and with a minimum time we should be able to complete that project. Scheduling, that we are calling it as a scheduling. Tools and techniques used for the scheduling. So among all the n number of tools and techniques are available. Out of that, we are learning the networking technique, that is PERT and CPM. So this unit is the numerical one. So all other 4 units are theoretical. So coming to the unit 5, coordination and the control. So the project direction for completing the project, communication, project coordination, roles and responsibilities of the project. Coordination and the communication also plays an important role in completing the project in time within the budget by utilizing the resources. After completing the project, we need to measure the performance of a project. So there we are going to learn the different set of performance measuring methods. How you are going to evaluate your project with respect to what. So these are the different 5 sets of, the whole syllabus has been divided in 5 different chapters. So around 80% of the syllabus is a theoretical, easy to understand, easy to learn, and one unit is the numerical one, so which you can go through, and it is very interesting subject to learn and to implement in your due course of a time. So many projects are going on, already completed projects are there, in upcoming projects are there. So many projects you can relate as through this project management, and wherever it is required, I'll be doing it, the case studies, so that you will understand, you will be able to relate the subject to the application. So the books, what I need to use is so 3 different books we will be using. That is Project Management by S. Chowdhury. So around 60% of the portion you can get in this book. And when you are going for the Herald and Coons, you can go through the case studies of the different projects. And the 4th unit, what I was explaining for the scheduling of PERT and CPM network techniques and all, you can go through the LS Srinaths. So the books are readily available. It is very interesting subject to learn and implement in the due course of your career. So with this, I complete the introduction to the project management. Thank you. Thank you, Vananda. So any questions?
No, ma'am.
Any questions, any doubts regarding this?
No, ma'am.
Unmute yourself, and if you have any queries, you can ask. Any questions are there in a chat box? No, no questions are there in a chat box. I feel so you have understood, and it's very interesting. In the due course of your career, you will be having many challenges of completing the projects. There it is going to help you.
Good afternoon, students. This subject is about total quality management. The course learning objectives, you can see it is the basics of total quality management. The importance of customer satisfaction. Of course, everywhere there is a customer satisfaction required. You all have seen the Google reviews of having a star rating. That is how the customer is satisfied, and he can directly give a star rating for any company which he requires. Prerequisites and studies of management and entrepreneurship. It is not exactly required because here the principles of TQM are very easy to understand. So the chapter 1 or the unit 1 is principles and practices of TQM. So in all this, you will be learning the basic principles of total quality management. So here there are 7 gurus. What those 7 gurus have defined the principles of TQM that has been defined here. Then you have quality statements. Each any company, if you go, there are certain quality statements. So they say we are 100% perfect. Of course, there is no 100% quality. It is always 99.99. Then in unit 2, you have customer satisfaction. You have internal and external customers. External customers is one who purchases the product, and internal customer is one who supplies raw materials to that company who is going to manufacture that product. So customer perception of quality is there. Then you have a feedback, and then using customer complaints. This all comes as service sector feedback sections. Then you have employee involvement. How do you motivate the employees? You cannot force them to work or have the bonded labor and other things. So all these things will be studied under employee involvement. Then in unit 3, you have continuous improvement process. How to improve continuously. Like now, you have taken second rank and you want to go for the first rank, then you will be improving continuously. But not that from second you will slip to third and then to fourth and then to 10th. So there is something called as continuous improvement process. Then you have the plan, do, study, and act. That is a PDSC cycle, problem solving methods, Kaizen, Six Sigma. So all are a part of customer satisfaction. Some are imported from Japanese teachings, and then you have supplier partnerships, principles of customer and supply relations, and you have performance measures. How do you measure a performance? So there are different measuring techniques. Then you have a self-learning topic that is called as a Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award and Deming Prize. What are those? The self-study topics also are very easy to understand. Then the last chapter is tools and techniques of TQ. Benchmarking is not that you write on the bench and copy. It's something where you reach a level and from there you'll never lower that level of quality. So that is something called as benchmarking. Then you have ISO standards. You have seen ISO standards on certain companies, so you have some specific standards and 14,000 series standards. So in all this, there is environmental standard also, where reaching a quality you cannot be polluting the environment. So for that also there are different series of standards. Then the last chapter, that is unit 5, that's something called as a quality by design. So how we can improve the quality in the design stage itself. Then you have failure mode and defect analysis. If any product has failed, how it has failed, why it has failed, what are the steps we can take to improve the design in order to not fail the product. Then last is the statistical process control. Here you have control charts, variable control charts, and for attributes, small numericals. Uh, the subject is very easy to understand and implement. The total quality management, the quality is required in almost all sectors, be it IT sector or be it mechanical or be it electrical or be it construction. Everywhere quality is required. The books are quality management, total quality management by Westerfield. This is largely available in the library. And then these are the course outcomes. Uh, Here you don't have many of mathematical problems in this subject. It is all about the theory. And uh, there is a scheme of continuous internal evaluation. This is the standard one. So that's it. Any questions?
Sir, who will be handling the course?
I'll be taking the course itself.
Sir, you haven't
Professor
mentioned.
Vinay Kulkarni.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good afternoon, students. Hope I'm audible to you people. Yes? Yeah. Okay. So, I am Professor Pratya Kulkarni from Mechanical Department. I will be giving you the introduction on supply chain management. The course code is 18ME764. It is an open elective. It is a 3 hours course. Then, so total it will be 40 hours. Sorry, or 40 hours. That means 40 lectures of course. Okay, so the first unit, before we start with what exactly the supply chain or is, Okay, what is supply chain or what is that? So just understand what is supply chain. Supply chain is only, it is a process which is served to generate something, basically, like for example, if we just take a toothpaste. Now we when you go and just buy a toothpaste, okay, let it be of any company. There are several companies which are producing the say products with the different brand names. So we particularly select as a customer certain particular product. Now we get it as an easy term, but to get that product to that particular shop or for to that particular showroom or so to that particular, you can say, vendor, it takes a number of processes which are included into that. So to run that process in a smooth manner, right from scratch of the raw material till the product, that is the business, or you can say end to end connect of the product, is very essential. So basically the supply chain helps in the process wherein you can generate something known as cost reduction in the budget and always see to it that there is some improvement in the product. While these products are almost like, you can say, these are some part of the entire system. Now the supply chain has been introduced into the modern term, like for example, you can say it is more eco-friendly in system, and modern supply chain emphasis the strategies alignment to end business. That means till how much, what is the strategy for this 1 month of period, if the product has been taken, what they understand the strategy, and according to that the demand and supply of the product is generated. So basically what is the importance of supply chain is that it is a highly detailed system. Whether you go for a small scale industry or for a large scale industries, all organization take this challenge of supply chain, maybe in the form of a hardware process or maybe in the form of certain software application processes, but they use this form of supply chain process into the entire process, so that you get the entire product right from the raw material, manufacturing, delivering the product or the final product to the customer. That is why it is said to be an end-to-end business customer satisfaction process. Okay, a well-organized supply chain management you can say system involves optimizing your operational functionality, and also more importance is given for the fast and effective production over the product. It may be a needle or it may be a machined product, or you can say anywhere they are using into the process. Now why we should go, or why we should take this supply chain into the process? Because entire world is globalized and it has become an integral part of the business, and it's essential to any company or wherever you go. This supply chain is a must for every, whether you take it in the banking sector, IT sectors, social service, or your service sectors, then you just take it into your organization, you take it into the industry, firms, organizations, or even in the job shop, or you can say at the job floor level. Everywhere the you can say either at the macro level, this process of supply chain is included. So main reason for this, it has because why it has become important is that because it has a power to boost the customer service, then reduce the operating cost, improve the financial status or your process of the company. Because it is basically of a process where you give certain strategy, and if that strategy doesn't work, they have to change the strategy so that they can satisfy the customer. That is why I have told, or I have mentioned, that supply chain is an end to end business customer satisfaction. So based on this, just let me introduce these topic. The first unit is like building the strategy framework to analyze the supply chain. Like in this unit, you are just going to study the first part, that is definition supply chain, which are the different stages in the supply chain and which are the different decision phases process in your supply chain. And then you will be studying the process view of the supply chain. In this, there are two processes, that is push pull view and your process view or cycle view. And then you will be studying about the supply chain flow and various examples which are the benchmark of the supply chain processes, and related to that The second part is a competitive and supply chain strategy. Here exactly the modern technique or modern era of the supply chain starts. So far whatever we will be discussing in this first unit will be only the theory part, and then after this the last part, that is competitive and the supply chain strategy, involves, or you can say there involves the major role of this unit. And then the supply chain performance, there are various supply chain performance, that is inventory, transportation, pricing, revenue, etc. And then we are going to understand the achieve, that is your strategic fit, how you are going to achieve. There are three stages, and this is the main where the company takes these 3 points or these three processes of achieving the strategic fit and sees to it that your whatever the product has more efficiency and more response for the product. That means demand and supply of the product is matched. Second unit deals with the drivers of supply chain performance. Then here we discuss individual drivers, how they drive the force of the supply chain. Like for example, there are inventory, transportation, facility, informations, and then the end product comes. Now if there is a network process of weaker in the information, then you cannot get the complete, you can say, satisfy the supply chain process into the entire product. So likewise, what is the role of the inventory, what are the, you can say, processes involved in the inventory, transportation, which best transportation you are supposed to select at that moment for your production, then what are the facilities made available for that, what is the information, basic informations which are needed, and then while achieving these, which are the obstacles involved into that, we will be discussing about that. That is the obstacles to achieving the, or obstacles for achieving this strategic fit, and few case studies we will be including. And the next part is designing the distribution network in the supply chain. Like for example, we just place that nowadays any product you take, okay, it is not like we get it for 1 week, the customer has to wait for 1 week or 4 days or 5 days. Okay, the delivery system itself has been transformed in such a way that you can receive the product even in 1 hour, 1 day, or half a day, because of the proper distribution network which the supply chain processes takes. That means whenever there is certain demand, the supply of the product is the supply of the product is there, and you get the product on time. So where there are various roles of the distribution networks. Okay, so those we will be discussing, and with respect to the responses, with respect to the social factor, and with respect to the cost factor, we will be discussing individual processes of the network. And then we are going to discuss about the design option for the distribution network and the e-business. These two are completely theory, or you can say theoretical unit. Third unit deals with planning and managing the inventories in the supply chain. Remember, this inventory plays a very major role in the entire process of the supply chain. We will be discussing the few numericals based on your this inventory supply chain processes. And then the next part is again theoretical, that is transportation, and it is much easier, you can say comparatively easy, than the first part of the third unit. Here you will be just discussing the roles of supply chain, factors affecting the transportation decisions, modes of different transportations, and their performance characteristic, like for which product which type of transportation is essential, and based on that we will be discussing. And again in that, you can just see to it that whichever is more effective for that will be utilized. And then we are discussing the design transportation, likewise how we design the distribution network for the supply chain. Even for the transportation, there are various modes of network designing, and based on that we will be discussing. And there is an introduction of the tailored transportation in the entire process. Next, fourth unit is sourcing decision in the supply chain. Like for example, any product you take, what is the sourcing, what is the price, what is the revenue, you can say, how these have to you can coordinate and see to it that make a entire process a effective one. Okay, so the fourth unit deals with the sourcing decision in the supply chain. Here you will be discussing the roles of the suppliers. Then you can say that is scoring and assessment, supplier selection, contract, and what are the risks involved in taking particular decision for that sourcing, like when you insource or outsource the product for your component for your production. Okay, what is the pros and cons for your insourcing and outsourcing of the product. Then the concept of design collaboration you will be discussing. Next one is the pricing and revenue management. Similar to that of your sourcing, and this here you have what is the role of pricing and revenue management, and in this you will be studying with respect to multiple customer segments, then perishable assets, then seasonal demand. Any product which which you will be having for the seasonal demand, like for example if you just take the concept of umbrella. Okay, you require it for the 2 season, depending upon the customer's requirement. It is based on the supply and demand for that, like that only. Based on that, the price and revenue of any particular product will be either increased or decreased. The company should be having certain strategy to implement these. So what are those things we will be discussing in this fourth last part. Then fifth one is the information technology in the supply chain. How the information technology is applied in the supply chain, and how the you can say better softwares which are generated in this form, so that it is an easy process even for the company to get the things done in a much easier and fast process, and much more important is in a effective process. And then next one is the coordination in the supply chain. Here you will be discussing about the lack of supply chain coordination throughout the 4 units whatever we had discussed. What are the drawbacks and the bullwhip effect, that is which is the effect for that, or what will be the effect for that, we will be discussing. And then we will be discussing about the effect of the performance and the obstacles in the coordination for that, and then managerial levers for achieving this coordination, and then building the strategic partnership within the supply chain, and few of the case studies also we will be discussing. Okay, and the textbook for this is Sunil Chopra, and this you can use the entire this for this entire subject. You can say 90% of the subject portion is covered in the Sunil Chopra. Only few are there in the David and Robot, like for example your information and your coordination, fifth unit, etc. Okay, and out of 100 you can say 100 marks, 90 marks or you can say 85 marks is theory, and 15 marks or so will be, that is 10% or so will be your numericals. Okay, it is easy to understand, and much of the students, or you can say most of the students pursue their MS in supply chain, because here we understand, or here we discuss it with only with respect to certain products or something. When you go the in a deeper understanding of the supply chain, it has a degree where you can where you when you perceive this degree in supply chain, you will be in a position to have a better understanding of manager position, taking the proper decisions, and understanding the basics of how to have the strategy, and at the right time when to implement. Once you understand this, then you will be in a much more better position than the other employees in the organization. Okay, any queries? Any queries? And the scheme will be like 30 plus 30, that is IA, first IA 30, second IA 30, and then assignment 10 plus 10, course seminar or course project, and then total 100, it will be divided by 50. Any queries?
No queries, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Rupa Navalli, will be handling this research methodology subject. This subject, the credits are 3, and here you'll be learning the subject with respect to basic concepts of research and the methodology. Research here simply refers to a systematic and scientific search for information on a particular topic. It is basically an art of investigation. Then, research approach is a plan and procedure which is with detailed method of data collection, analysis, and interpretation. Thus, the research methodology is divided into 5 units with research methodology with introduction, wherein the types of research, significance of research process, understanding and defining a research problem, selecting a research problem, the techniques involved in research problem will be learned. This is very essential for any type of improvement in design or modification in design or coming up with new concepts. This methodology will be taken as a new approach so that it is totally different from that is done previously. Hence, all the organizations in all the fields, may be healthcare, maybe service sector, maybe manufacturing sector, will include the research methodology approach. Thus, the second chapter will be dealing with research design, which includes understanding the concepts of research design, developing a research plan, basic principles of experimental design, and also sampling design, wherein the data collection and the data analysis will be taken up. Thus, any organization will sustain with a huge data because the history of the data will only help in predicting the results in future. Thus, sampling and the unit 3 that covers the data collection and analysis of data will help the organizations in understanding and predicting the profits. Thus, data collection and analysis of data is very essential for any type of organization. So that is included in chapter number 2 and chapter number 3, wherein lot of numericals can be taken up. So this subject is 50% theory and 50% numerical. Very interesting case studies can be taken under data collection and analysis of data. And all the elements of statistics can also be applied for analysis of data. Thus, the chapter number 4, wherein you'll be learning the testing of hypothesis, understanding the hypothesis, then analysis of variance, basic principles of ANOVA and ANOVA in Latin square design, one-way ANOVA, two-way ANOVA. All these are included to understand the data and go for new concepts, developing the ideas, going for a better approach in coming up with the new ideas through the research, prepare, plan systematically for any topic or any field. Thus, all these are included in chapter number unit 1, 2, 3, 4. Under 5, we can also go for higher approach wherein the research can be taken up with multivariate analysis techniques that includes variables in multivariate analysis. How do I classify it? Important methods, factor analysis, rotation in factor analysis, and in the syllabus, part of report writing is also included so that these report writing will help in various research aspects so that some patents also can be taken up, and these will be learned in chapter number 5. Thus, the subject is useful for all engineering fields, not only engineering but across all the disciplines. The subject matter will enhance your skills in data interpretation and analysis. Subject will be useful for all categories under higher education studies and research field. The syllabus will be can be taken up with the textbooks, Kothari, where more than 90% of the syllabus is covered. There are various reference books are also available. You get lot of case studies through the e-resources, and this subject has a lot of scope in the outside world, which is useful for claiming the subject understanding for students aiming for MS. Those students who are aiming to take up higher studies and take up master's degrees, the subject is very essential. And this is a very new subject with deep knowledge in learning the research approach, both theoretical and practical. All these approaches will be taken up in various organizations unknowingly or knowingly, but this subject will be very interesting, and lot of theoretical and practical applications and implications exist in any of the fields that you take up. Okay, thank you.
I thank all the professors for giving the introduction about the subject. And one more information, just we wanted to share. The minimum strength for each subject is 20 and the maximum strength for each subject is 60. So as there are 4 subjects, so we can accommodate 60, 60 in each of the subjects, and minimum strength will be 20. So then it will be, that subject will be floated. Thank you.
Sir, statistical quality control is not there.
No, it is not there. Only 4 subjects are there.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.